All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, Romero talks about Gervonta Davis and exposes what I consider to be fixed fights on last weekend's card. But who was the fight fixed by? It was fixed by the fighters themselves, not fixed by Turki Al-Sheikh. Not fixed by some people hiding in some dark corner that you never know, but fixed by the actual fighters that were fighting on that fight card. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about what Romero had to say about Gervonta Davis, and now that he has beaten Ryan Garcia, all the excuses circling around about Gervonta Davis. But more shockingly than that, in the conversation, he and Ben Thompson basically have a conversation about how those fights were fixed on Turki Al-Sheikh's card this weekend, with Rolly Romero, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Arnold Barboza, and Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez versus Barboza, and Devin Haney versus Jose Ramirez. Basically said, man, we think these fights were fixed. And again, how could they be fixed? I'm telling you ahead of time. Not by Turki Al-Sheikh, not by DAZN or some mysterious person, but by the fighters themselves. And why does Rolly Romero believe that? He said because they came out and they did not fight. It was very clear that they did not fight. But before I get into the details, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you guys so much for your continued support. It really means it's just a huge, huge thing when you support the channel, especially in the super thanks of videos like this. It really does help push boxing forward, because I got to tell you, Turki Al-Sheikh is not doing well for the sport of boxing. He's not doing well for the sport of boxing. You know why that is? I came up with a new measurement. The amount of money spent per viewer. Can you imagine how much money Turki Al-Sheikh loses per person that watches it, considering how much money he is losing? It's amazing. They're not making any profit off anything that anybody buys. It is that bad. And as a result, people don't have to do anything that would necessarily bring profit. You would usually think you got to fight your heart out in order to make a super impression on a crowd so that you can get another fight. But that's not what they had to do. And that's what Rolly Romero was talking about. And that's what I think Ben Thompson was talking about on Fight Hype. And they said, have you ever seen somebody come out into a fight and they just refuse to fight? And that's what Rolly Romero said. They said the situation is that these guys were just fighting for their next paycheck. As soon as they got into the ring, they did what they needed to do. And their whole thing was, I don't want to lose. I don't want to get hurt. I want to get on to my next big payday. And it doesn't matter what I do in this ring. As long as I get to Turki Al-Sheikh's next payday, that's all I need to succeed, right? That's all they need to succeed. They don't need fans actually being excited. They don't need real fans to be following them. They don't need real media people to be reacting and giving honest opinions about them. All they need is their sugar daddy that holds their hands and blow in their ears to say, yeah, baby boy, I'll give you some money. Don't worry about it. I'll fight. You can fight again. Don't worry about it. And that's what happened. It happened in Jose Ramirez versus Devin Haney, where Devin Haney most definitely decided he was not going to punch. Matter of fact, it's not coincidental, absolutely positively not coincidental, that 3 or 4 of those fights that were on those cards had the lowest punch output in the history of BoxRec, because those guys said we're not going to fight each other. And do you know what that is? That's a fixed fight, because they decided what the outcome of the fight was going to be. The fighters decided what the outside of the fight was going to be. Whether they did it intentionally or whether they did it kind of through, you can just tell the body language of the situation. It doesn't matter. What happened was real people spent their money on those fights, and real people that spent their money got ripped off. And Devin didn't care. Ryan probably didn't care. Teofimo Lopez didn't care. They only cared about the money Turki was losing paying them and didn't care about the money the fans were losing watching them. And that is a travesty, absolute travesty. And this was supposed to be one of the biggest cards, the best card, can't miss card. And guess what? They missed. Why? Because Turki Al-Sheikh doesn't understand boxing. He doesn't have people around him that understand the sport, know what a big fight is, know how to make a big fight. And a fight that's going to be entertaining for people. Something that was very easy for ESPN to do when Top Rank put a fight on with Cardenas and Monster Inoue. Right there was a match that was made that was going to be an exciting fight. It wound up being just that. But what does Turki Al-Sheikh and those guys do? They just match up names, overpay the names, and then the names figure, oh, I got 2 more fights with you? Well, I better win. And, you don't care about how much money the fight makes? Look at it. Rolly Romero didn't even participate in the lead into it. But on to the next small portion of this topic, where Rolly Romero blasted Devin Haney and these guys for saying something about Gervonta Davis and how Gervonta Davis had weight drained Ryan Garcia and how Rolly's win over Ryan Garcia means that Devin was cheated against Ryan Garcia. Rolly just blew smoke out, just blew holes in that and was like, look, I did very similar things to Ryan Garcia that Gervonta Davis did. I stopped his jab. I stopped his left hand. I stopped his left hand. I stopped his hook. That's what he is. He's a left hand and a hook. I took both of those away. I fought a very, very focused fight, and I broke him down systematically. I didn't stop him. I hit him so hard, he just stopped fighting back, and he pushed forward. But that's not saying that Ryan Garcia is a lesser fighter. It's just meaning that you guys are so busy tearing down every fighter in boxing that you can't recognize a halfway decent one when you see it. But they also brought on, and I have to say this, that Shakur in his interview and Shakur Stevenson in his interview and Rolly Romero in their interview both talked about weight draining. And Shakur says, well, Gervonta weight drained these people down and everybody was weak in that weight class. That's why Gervonta did what Gervonta did. Shakur, no. You guys are choosing to be in these weight classes. You're choosing to be there. You chose to be at 126 when you were too big for 126. You chose to be at 130 when you were too big for 130. It's not a real 130-pounder's fault that he has to fight people that are draining down to that weight. There's all kind of people that are draining down to that weight. Keyshawn's draining down to that weight. Devin drained down to that weight. Rolly drained down to that weight. Luke Campbell drained down to that weight. Mikey Garcia drained down to that weight. It's not that Gervonta is picking people that are draining themselves down to weight. He's just in a weight class that is a big weight class for him, and he has to fight a bunch of people that are weight draining. But Shakur putting the blame on Gervonta was crazy. But at least Rolly admitted it and said, hey, man, I shouldn't have been at 135. I was too big. I was so drained. But that's his decision. 140, he was drained. He couldn't make it anymore after a couple fights. That's his decision. And on top of it, at 135, Rolly got a belt. And at 140, he got a belt. So I don't think that was his decision to get the belts. But you can't put that on Gervonta and claim that Gervonta's resume is suspect because he's in a weight class where there's a bunch of weight bullying going on. Anyway, it's crazy to me. I just wanted to give you that breakdown of those interviews, though. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.